It's a very common thing to kind of compare the video game industry to like sports and things. And I like to do that a lot because, I'm a big sports fan. And, this year, as everybody knows, I'm a big Ravens fan. And so it's been a little bit of a rougher year for Ravens. And it's interesting because, like, on the different aspects of, hey, I'm a Ravens fan. Here's what's going on. Is this good? Is this good? There's a lot of people who are, very upset with the Ravens this year. They want the coach fired, this kind of stuff. Sort of harkens back to what's going on with Xbox. A lot of people want Phil Spencer fired. They want him let go, whatever the case may be. I think, unless you get rid of literally everybody, you'd have to get rid of, the entire Xbox team. Booty, Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Tim Stewart, all these guys. You'd have to get rid of everybody, in my opinion. And even then, Microsoft would have to just agree to whoever came in would allow them to kind of do what they had to do. And I think maybe that could possibly change something, but, that's probably never going to happen. I think even maybe spinning off the Xbox branch could do something, but we'll see. I don't think there's any anything that's going to really kind of happen anytime soon that would do that. So I'm not sure what to say or what exactly happened there, but this was very interesting because it really proves the mismanagement, right? It's like the things that you could count on, like even when Xbox was struggling in the Xbox One era, what was like the only thing you could really count on was Forza games, right? Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon. You knew that Microsoft was going to get these games. They were going to be highly rated and do well. And now it's like you look at it and you can just tell how badly managed that entire team is. And how do they go from coming out with a banger of a game every other year to having 7 years to do a game and completely mess it up so bad that they lay off almost the entire studio and become a support studio, right? So Forza Motorsport is winding down. Gran Turismo is experiencing a phenomenon at PlayStation. Much has been said about how Forza Motorsport is essentially winding down after 2 years on the market, with the team recently confirming that no new major content will be added to the game from here on out. This obviously comes as a shame for those who enjoy a more simulated focused experience than what Forza Horizon offers, but it also indicates that 2023's Forza Motorsport reboot hasn't managed to prove as popular as Xbox has likely hoped. Meanwhile, PlayStation's Gran Turismo 7, a game that's very similar to Forza Motorsport, is apparently experiencing a phenomenon, quote-unquote, right now due to how many players are still engaging with it, and the number is still growing. Here's what series producer Mr. Yamauchi had to say on a recent roundtable interview, and I quote, "Gran Turismo 7 has been released for several years, but still, the active users are currently over 2 million people, and the new users are increasing. The status that Gran Turismo 7 is in now is probably the best of any Gran Turismo title that we've had in the past. We've never experienced this phenomenon before, and neither has PlayStation." So, listen, I'm sure that's probably what Microsoft wanted, right? Microsoft probably wanted a title that was, able to kind of grow and, attract people to kind of stick around and stuff like that. The problem is honestly, they didn't make a good game. The game was missing so many features. It was like just really poorly received. And, when you look at it and you go, okay, when you kind of look at these things and you just go, things didn't really kind of go the way that they thought they would. It's really kind of unfortunate. So Forza Motorsport got an 84 Metacritic with an average user score of 6.9. So, it's just one of those things where I think people kind of look at it and they're just not happy with what's going on. I didn't stick with it very long either. It was like it didn't feel like a very good game, in my opinion. And so, Gran Turismo 7 was almost which came out a year before Forza Motorsport, was almost a 90 rated. And, again, to see that it's still getting 2 million active users and all that kind of stuff, I think that it really kind of goes to show that they kind of did something and knew what they were doing. And, for me, that's good management, that's nurturing, that's the type of thing that we wanted to see. Whereas, Forza, we're never probably going to get another Forza Motorsport again, and they've really kind of, they killed the franchise with poor leadership. That's incredibly terrible to kind of think about, to be honest with you. And you're just kind of looking at how these things are going right now, and it doesn't look good for Microsoft. What's the reason for Gran Turismo's immense success and Forza Motorsport's drop-off? According to GT Planet, Yamauchi apparently attributed the GT's continued appeal to the studio's evolving relationship with its community and a shift in how it supports titles long-term. While the outlet also highlighted the game's recent update, Power Pack DLC, and the millions of people who are watching Gran Turismo's World Series events. And just to be clear, we're not ragging on Forza Motorsport in terms of the game itself. They've mentioned numerous times how they think Forza Motorsport has an excellent base to it, but it just didn't quite evolve the way that people had hoped. It also makes sense that Xbox would rather prioritize Forza Horizon these days, and you can bet Forza Horizon 6 will be a bestseller when it comes available. Obviously, it's going to come to PlayStation as well. Again, I think that it really just goes to show that Microsoft kind of dropped the ball when it came to, doing a lot of these things and making sure that their games are run well. And I think, again, like, I got to go back to Matt Booty. Like, how is this guy still employed when you have the fallout at Forza Motorsport? You've had you've had the stuff. Everwild didn't launch; it got canceled after almost a decade. You had Perfect Dark get canceled. You've had, the Initiative closed down. All this stuff, these games that were announced in 2019, 2020, and we're going into 2026, and these games still aren't ready to come out, right? And we haven't even seen any real gameplay from them. Like, this is the guy in charge of all that stuff. So again, like, to me anyway, I would blame him specifically. And again, it's just one of those things where you kind of look at it and you just go, hey, this is really a mess up of epic proportions, and it's honestly Microsoft's own fault. So it's realistically something that we kind of have to look at and say, hey, this is really a bad situation. I honestly feel like it highlights extremely well how it really just kind of kills what Microsoft is trying to say. Okay, well, we're going to try to put ourselves on every screen and every this and every that, and then their games still aren't doing well. I mean, don't get me wrong, Forza Motorsport wasn't on PlayStation, but I mean, you could have played it through the cloud, you could have played it through PC, you could have played it through Xbox, and yet, hardly anybody did. Like, the game sold incredibly poorly, and, it just really kind of goes to show you that the management has unrealistic goals and really did a bad job with the game. Like, again, there's been times in the past where I've seen Forza commercials and stuff, and we haven't seen those in, I can't even remember the last time we've seen like Forza commercials and things like that. And, it's like, how can you have these big products and expect big returns on your investment when you're not actually out there, pushing them or selling them or anything like that, and letting people know that they're available? Again, it's like, this is a common theme with Xbox, and is poor leadership and things like that, just by looking at it and just saying, okay, well, how in the world is this something that we can fix or get people to know about our things? Like, Keeper was a game that launched with absolutely zero kind of anything, South of Midnight, even Avowed, I would say even Outer Worlds 2. I don't recall seeing anything for that, for their games. It's like, it's terrible. Even with Call of Duty, I usually see like Call of Duty commercials out the rear end, and now I haven't seen any, and then of course this year's Call of Duty kind of fell on some deaf ears or whatever. But at the end of the day, I guess it really kind of comes down to what these companies plan on doing long term. And for me, like, how can anybody think that Microsoft has leadership people, people in leadership, people that could do anything at this point? Like, to me, it just really feels like they don't know what they're doing, and they're perfectly fine with that, or whatever the case may be. Honestly, it just I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand I don't understand how they think these things through. Like, how is this like a real thing? So I don't know, maybe you guys can explain a little bit better to me. It's like the things that Microsoft could once count on, even with longer time. Is it like, did they get rid of the good developers? Is it the hiring process? Are they not, did they lose people that were, Yeah, is it the brunch instead of crunch? What's the deal? Because their quality of their games, they seem kind of soulless lately. I don't know. It's like, I mean, there's some decent stuff in there, but when you're losing, your GT killer, I don't know what to say. It doesn't sound like it's a good thing to me. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.